Well, hello everybody, and welcome to another exciting episode of the Shop and Tread Talk podcast. Today we do not have Aniz with us. Unfortunately, he couldn't make it. But we have a wonderful guest here today that is going to tell us some riveting stories about how her life got her into the automotive trade. So, buckle your seatbelts, grab, I don't know, hold on to something because this is going to be a wild ride. So, anyway, let's have some fun. If you're hearing us on YouTube, go over also and check us out on TikTok and on Facebook, and subscribe everywhere because that helps us out. So, anyways, today we have with us Red. Could you please introduce yourself and we'll just tell a little bit about your story.
Yeah, my name is Red, and I come from Green Bay, Wisconsin. Um, I guess I got started with cars when I was really young. I was um, probably about 12 was my earliest memory. Just helping my dad out in the garage, and it was just the classic. Um, like we talked about, it was a classic, helping your dad in the garage thing where he's yelling at you that you're not holding the flashlight right or whatever.
There's always
Um,
that story. Everyone has that story.
yeah, it was the brake pedal. I wasn't pushing the brake pedal properly for bleeding the brakes.
That takes a good
So
skill to do, actually.
it does. It's a really good leg workout, honestly.
It really is. And then if
But
you're
yeah,
up there long enough, you'll fall asleep too. That's the other thing.
that's my earliest memory of it. Like my uncle working on his derby cars and my grandpa out on the farm with the tractors, like we were always around it. I just wasn't like in depth to it, if that makes sense.
Yep.
Um so I didn't know a whole lot about cars, but when I moved out of my parents' house, I was 17, and so I had to learn about them because I was a waitress making like 250 an hour, and my little, oh gosh, what was my first car? Uh
I'm gonna say Toyota
Daytona,
something.
a Dodge Daytona.
Oh, really? With the
Yes.
did it have a turbo with a manual transmission, or was it the?
No, it wasn't that cool.
Okay, they
No,
were pretty cool cars.
I bought it from a friend of mine, and it like was missing half the exhaust, and I didn't know about it. We had to dig it out of a snowbank in her backyard.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so like that was my first car, and first issue I found is I didn't even know how to change oil. I didn't know anything about cars at all. So I ended up running it low on oil, and I blew the engine up one day just driving along. There was no radio either, so I had like headphones in.
Okay,
And
yeah. You didn't
yeah,
hear the clanging going on.
I didn't hear the bang, but all of a sudden, like my foot's all the way to the floor, and the car's not going anywhere. And it's the middle of winter in Upper Michigan. Um, and so I called the bar that I worked at, and I was like, "Hey, like, can somebody come grab me real quick?" Um, and so one of the local guys, he drove down, and they towed my car to the bar, and they were looking at it while I was working. And they were like, "Yeah, you blew a piston rod right through the engine block." I had no idea what they were telling me.
Oh, wow.
Oh yeah. I was like, "Oh, cool. Like, is it salvageable?" And they're like, "No, but we'll give you $50 for it." And I was like,
Oh,
"Cool."
yeah. Take it to the
Yeah.
scrapyard.
So,
Yeah.
yep, to the scrapyard with it they went. I had zero clue that like the cat was worth anything, the battery was worth anything. I didn't know anything. So that was like my first dive into it because that was like even before YouTube was a big thing. But like I slowly started figuring out the oil changes, the batteries, the basic stuff. Like people would point out things like, "Hey, your tire is cocked a little bit, like you probably have a bad strut in the back there." And sure enough I did. Um but I never really got into it until I noticed that like people were paying attention to the fact that I was doing my own repairs.
Okay.
You know. Um so then I kind of like, for the attention of it, I was like, yeah, now I want to learn more about it. And so like I had another vehicle where I blew the timing on it. The timing went out, and I was like, how hard could a timing job be? Once again, before YouTube, started digging into it. I got so far, and I had to have my uncle help me. And he was like, it needs an engine. It's not just timing, it needs a whole engine. Um, so, like,
And
little things like,
back then, you would have had the Haynes manual, right? Did you ever have one of those for your cars to learn out of?
oh gosh, no.
No. I never did either. They were expensive, and I was like, I just asked the other guys, "How do I do this?" And they had to tell me. But those manuals were expensive.
We had the Chiltons, from what I remember.
That Chilton would have been the predecessor, I think, to Prodemand. I think, if I'm not mistaken, the Haynes manual was the one that, like, we could go to our local Canadian Tire and buy a Haynes manual for almost every vehicle. Like, we used to drive a Ford Temple, and I know I seen that.
Like a handbook, like a
Yeah,
book.
yeah, and it was like an inch thick or something like that, and it was like exactly like you said for timing. It would show you exactly how to do the timing, set up the timing marks, all that kind of stuff.
I
Um,
didn't know those existed. Like, I
yep,
had seen a few. My dad had like old Camaros when we were growing up. And so we always had a Chilton for every Camaro, but I wasn't like, I never looked in them. I never was curious in that
yeah. But had
aspect.
you had those back in the day, that was the predecessor to the YouTube for sure.
For
And
sure.
yep. So yeah, continue. You had to put an engine in that car.
Yeah, my uncle ended up putting an engine in that car. There was a time when I went through like a car every 3 months, but I was, yeah.
That's a good time to learn how to fix them then, for sure.
I just kept blowing them up. I didn't, I wasn't very good at fixing them yet. I was just a bartender then. So yeah, there wasn't a whole lot of desire to learn, I guess.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, like, the little attention that I got doing the little that I did was enough. What was it? I had like a old 83 Thunderbird that I bought for like $600 because they told me that the heater core was bad on it. And I didn't even know what a heater core was. I was like, I can replace that, no problem.
Oh
And like
yeah.
the whole dash in those has to come out to do that.
Yep.
So it was all just learning as I went. But I always seemed to pick up the cars that had these huge jobs that I had no clue about. And so I'd be elbows deep in this, and there's no turning back. But I had some pretty cool people in my life that would give me advice and give me, a little bit of help here and there doing things. So that was nice. Um, but anyways, I actually was supposed to go to Savannah College of Art and Design for architecture,
Oh really?
and yeah,
Well,
uh,
that's a completely opposite field than any automotive at all.
it is. I loved my drafting class. I loved CAD. I loved everything about the engineering aspect of all of it. I had an uncle who was an engineer, so like it was like a big deal. And then because of the working in the bar and everything, I got introduced to the drug scene. Um, and that was kind of like the the peak of my downfall into the drug world. And so then for the next, I was 18 then. For the next decade or so, um, that's what I did. Is I got deeper into drugs. I worked in bars. I moved around a lot. I switched cars up all the time. I had no money, so I had to learn more about how to fix the cars that I had. Um, and then eventually I got locked up in North Dakota State Prison. Um, and I sat 18 months there. And then they released me into a halfway house. And so I had absolutely nothing um, except the state issued clothes that they gave me when I left.
Right.
Yep. And so they were like, you got to get a job, you got to transportation, you got to get your birth certificate, your social security card, all this stuff, like starting from scratch. And that
Oh, like
was
everything. You didn't have any of that left.
nope. So the end of my drug era actually ended with I lost everything. Like I was robbed of everything. I lost the house. I gave away my car. I just, it was all too much for me to maintain the drug life that I had
Right.
and still try to maintain a normal standard of living. So if I didn't give it away, it got taken or lost or whatever.
Okay.
But when I got the final time that I got arrested, I think I had one suitcase, like one duffel bag with me of a few items, and that was it.
Wow.
And then once they ship you from county to prison, they don't ship your belongings with you. You go with nothing. So whatever you acquire within the prison system then is all that you get to leave with. So I had my state issued clothes and that was it.
Yeah.
Um,
Talk about starting over. No kidding.
yeah, yeah, it was a trip for sure. Humbling experience, but I still had a long way to go from there. That was 2016. I got released.
Okay.
Um, and so I wasn't familiar with like bigger cities, and I was released to Fargo, North Dakota. Don't know if you've heard of it or not. Um, it's bigger than where I'm at now. It's a decent sized city at this point. Um, but I didn't trust the bus system. I didn't want to Uber. So the closest thing that was available to me was a restaurant and a Jiffy Lube. And they didn't want me at the restaurant because it had a bar in it. But I knew a little bit about cars by that point. So I was like, yeah, I'll go for the Jiffy Lube, right?
Okay.
And so I started working there, and it was about 6 months in, they bumped me up to assistant manager. And then that was right about the time that I relapsed. And I relapsed for about 3 months hard. And so um, eventually it caught up with me, and I had to like fess up to my parole officer and my job and everything and let them know what was going on. But I had found out that I was pregnant with my second kid. And that's why um, that was the reason that I decided to get clean again then.
Right.
Um, so
Good
her,
reason for it.
yeah, uh, her father wasn't in the picture or anything like that. And I didn't know anybody in Fargo at all. I had had like 6 months total to spend with people in the recovery community and try and build something. But the being able to build relationships with individuals in recovery while you still have that addict mentality is hard because you think everybody's getting high, you know. Um, so it was hard socially, emotionally, mentally, physically, just everything about it. Like I was exhausted. Um, and I reached out to somebody and they came and they picked me up and we went to a meeting, and that was the start over then, you know. And so from there I'm the only way that I can like encompass everything in one phrase is just suspiciously smooth. Like of course I have my speed bumps and the hard times and whatnot, but like compared to the rest of my life from that point upward, suspiciously smooth. You know, I was able to get into an apartment 2 weeks before I had my daughter. I was able to go from working at Jiffy Lube with minimum wage to finding a small independent shop with a quick lube side um, that would take me in as just a worker, no management responsibilities or anything, you know, which was amazing because I needed less responsibility in my work life with the load that I was taking on as a single mother.
Yes.
Um, but
And
obviously with those quick lube places, like it's just a rotation of people all the time, and that's exhausting as well.
yes,
So I
very much.
finally, what's that?
It's very much exhausting.
Oh my gosh.
Yep.
um, so I finally got the idea to apply for college. I didn't know what obstacles I was going to face as a felon on paper still, you know. But by that time, I had acquired some decent individuals within the recovery community to be support, you know. I had built up a relationship with my boss at the shop that I was at and my coworkers, where they were like 100% behind me. It was the first time that I felt this camaraderie in my life that wanted to see me do better, you know? And it was so weird because it's like, I just want to be a mechanic. I just want to work on cars in a corner somewhere and just be left alone, you know?
Just hide like we all want to do. Don't talk to me. Don't touch me. Right.
Right. And to have that many people like, yes, yes, let's do it, you know,
Being in
was
your corner for you. That's amazing that they are. Absolutely.
absolutely. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I applied to Minnesota State Technical College for their 2 year program, automotive. I had some amazing instructors, um, a great group of guys that I worked with. There was two other women that were in the program with me. Um, you know, just once again, suspiciously smooth. I was able to get state assistance. I was able to get FAFSA, it's called here, for college aid. So they paid
Okay.
for like a majority of my schooling. Um, I had to take
Like
out
a
student
state funded
loans.
schooling like that then?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I had to take out a few student loans just to live off of because I couldn't work full time, you know. Um, so I have that little bit of debt, but I was able to apply for several scholarships. One of the best ones was the Seroptimist group. I don't know if you've heard of them.
Mm-mm.
So,
Can't say that I have.
Seroptimist International is a group of women that are helping other women get up in the trades. So, they had a special, specific scholarship called Live Your Dreams that went towards, that goes towards women who are the main providers in the house.
So like generally like a single mom or something like that.
Right, right.
What was that called again?
Seroptimist
Optimist.
International.
So anyone listening, that's look that up. I'll look it up after, but
Yeah, they do like North America, Latin America, and somewhere else. I can't remember now.
so and
But
that's kind of like
amazing group.
for all trades, or is it like geared towards the automotive?
I do believe it's all trades.
Okay.
Yeah. There was a few others that I can't remember the names of, but they were super helpful along the way, you know. And eventually, I graduated with like a 3.6, I think it was. Like I was super happy because that's way better than what I remembered getting in high school.
Yep. That's awesome. That sounds like a really good opportunity that you had given to you for and I'm sure you're thinking here like I don't deserve this. Why is this happening to me? But
All
for
the
whatever
time.
reason, yeah, and for whatever reason, like you said, suspiciously smooth, and here you are. All of this came together for you to get you into this place.
Yeah,
It's always for a reason. I don't believe in chance. I believe everything happens for a reason, right? So you're there. You're doing this now. Maybe it was just so you could be on this podcast and tell us this amazing story or something like that. But in reality, right? Like it put you on a path to do something greater than where you were. So that's amazing.
for sure. Yeah. Um, so yeah, that I think I graduated in 21. Cause yeah, so I went in at 19, COVID hit, we went online,
Yeah.
and then we
That
couldn't
was
even,
shitty studying online.
oh my gosh, it was so terrible.
I
When
remember my kids doing university and doing online. I'm like, this is garbage. I wouldn't learn shit.
try
If
learning differentials online.
I would be absolutely useless if I was online like that. Nothing. I am a visual, a hands-on learner. I could not do that
A
at all.
hundred percent, like 90% of the people in the community, in the automotive community that I've met are hands-on individuals.
Yep,
We, you
it's
can't,
kind of how we're driven. Yep.
yeah. So like just what was, I think there was like 30 or 40 of us in the class of these hands-on driven individuals and we can't touch anything. No. I think all of us passed by the seat of our ass for driveline service, you know. We couldn't even walk for graduation, which was a little hard for me. um,
Yeah.
but they did like a video graduation memorial thing. You could log on and check it out.
Our eldest son, he missed his graduation because of COVID too from
Oh,
college. Yeah, it sucked. Yeah, yeah, that was it was very sad, but couldn't change it, so I had to do that.
right.
Yeah. So
So
you're
yeah,
graduated now.
so yeah, 22 I graduated, and they put me on the independent side of the shop. Um, and like I remember being so excited the first time that I was able to start clocking hours, you know, and then just devastated with the first mistake I made. And
Did they throw you right in at flat rate when you say clock and hours?
no, no,
Okay, no, just
I don't feel comfortable with flat rate. I don't like it. I don't trust it. I don't. It's probably because I'm not good enough yet for it, but
I never, my whole career I've never worked flat rate. I,
no.
I was no, I was always afraid of it. I always worked in an independent shop in a small town, small used car dealership. So it was never a flat rate. I never went to a dealership, and I always wished I had.
Really?
Yep, I always wished I had for nothing more than just for the experience. So I tell my apprentices, as much as it would suck for them to leave, I think you need that experience. I think it'll teach you something more than just what a small town shop can.
The dealership?
Yeah, any dealership, and from the people that I've met through the podcast, it almost sounds like a Toyota dealership would be the ultimate one to go to.
Because they never break down.
That maybe, or it's just because they're Toyota. From what my friend near here says, that they're very generous with their labor rates for one.
Okay.
Yeah. Whereas like I have a friend that works at Ford. Like every time that it's like, oh, that flat rate's at 8 hours and I was able to do it in six. Oh no, the flat rate's at 6 hours. I think they'll continually cut it back. So that's where I think Toyota, from what I've heard, don't know from experience, that they're more generous that way. So if you ever thought of doing a dealership,
I
look
had
into.
actually. I've done a couple dealerships. I did a Chevy dealership way back in the day. I was still in active addiction, and I just worked in the quick lube out in North Dakota there. But it gave you that. It gave me a sour taste in my mouth because
Okay.
even at that low level, like we would have vehicles come in, and if it was still under warranty and you saw, like, there was one time there was a leaky strut, like it wasn't pouring out, but it was definitely starting to come out, to seep, I guess.
Yep.
And my supervisor told me, he's like, don't even mark it down
Oh, really?
because the vehicle was still under warranty.
Oh, you gotta wait till it's out of warranty and then write it down.
And then write it down. And then, yeah. So that
Yeah.
put a sour taste in my mouth for all dealerships. Granted, all dealerships aren't like that, but like they have that reputation. So to go in then and experience that, yeah,
I would think that a lot of that would a service advisor would make that big difference whether you would write that down or not. Uh, I mean, I'm sure they're pushed from head office to not, but like if you have a real good service writer, he'd be like, you know what, I don't care what head office says, you go ahead and write that down.
right.
We've got a friend, Melody. She works at a GM dealer near here, and she freaking loves it. But she's worked herself into a master tech role and specifically into the diesel side of it. She loves diagnosing and repairing diesels, and I'm like, what is wrong with you? But it's not too many people, not too many in the shop are doing that. So it gives her a real good advantage. It gives her a good edge to be like, just do whatever she wants to do.
For
So
sure. No, when we moved to Green Bay, the only way that I secured the move, because So in 22, we decided to move from North Dakota to Green Bay. And once again, suspiciously smooth. I left it in the hands of the gods, and I said, if it's meant to be, it's meant to be, you know? Um, and I called the bank and I was like, hey, like, what is it going to take for me to get a house? And he's like, don't worry about it. You have enough credit score, you have enough, backing. You can get a
Really?
house. You can definitely get a house. You can buy a house for sure. And like, this is what, yeah, it was amazing. Um, and he goes, the only thing we're going to need is a job. You need a source of income for us to give you that loan.
Right.
So I was like, great, there's like the first hurdle. I have to find a job. So I was calling Green Bay, Wisconsin, and I'm calling all around to small independent shops. And I'm like, hey, like, are you hiring? Can I put in an application? I'm moving in 6 months. And they're like, hey, when you move here, go ahead and put in an application. And I was like, that's not going to do it for me. Like, I
No,
need,
I need to do it now.
yeah, I
Yep.
need you to say yes first.
Yep.
Um,
Yep.
so finally, LinkedIn, I think I was on. There was like a Randy advertisement, and all it said was like automotive technician needed. And so I clicked on it, and it sounded all right, and it like brought me to a talent finder, I guess. And so I spoke with this one female like two or three times, and then she pushed my application to somebody else who interviewed me and then pushed it to somebody else. They interviewed me, and then they pushed it to the Cadillac dealership in Green Bay here. And I had an interview with them, and I was like, okay, like based off of the housing market, what the bills are going to look like, but I had figured out what rate I needed to get paid, and I was like, this is what I need. I need these hours, I need this pay, I need, and
Yep.
I can't start for 6 months.
Oh, well, easy stuff.
Easy. Yeah. And he was like, yeah, we'll discuss it, we'll get back to you. And like at this point, I was freaking out. I'm like, I'm never going to find a job, I'm never going to get the house, we're never going to make this move. It's all a wash. And then he called me, I think it was like a week later. And he's like, yep, we can do all of that.
No kidding.
Yeah. And I was like, shut up. Okay. Game on.
Suspiciously smooth. Wow.
Yeah.
Amazing. That's just freaking awesome. How,
So
how
yeah,
can you not think that that's just the right move at that point?
that's what I said. I really, so the recovery program, 12-step program, there's several of them out there, obviously, for everybody's needs. I honestly think that anybody, even without a serious drug addiction, could get use out of a 12-step program. Um, but they all have you go and find a higher power, all of the 12-step programs.
Okay.
Something outside of yourself, something that so you can give up the control of your life, the self will, give up the selfishness of our previous lives. So this whole process was just like a giving it to God kind of moment,
Yep.
um, and it felt amazing. It was so surreal. It was so surreal finding the house finally, because I bought it sight unseen. I just saw it through like videos and everything. So by the
Okay.
time we
Really.
got to Green Bay, I had never seen my place of employment. I have never seen the house that I lived in. I had, no idea. I'd been to Green Bay a couple times years and years earlier, but I hadn't been there in decades. So everything was brand new, and everything just fit so nicely. Like, so I worked at the Cadillac dealership for like 18 months. And it was amazing experience here.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
yeah, it definitely helped my perspective of dealerships by working at the Cadillac dealership
Okay.
here. Right.
It brought it up a little bit, right?
Absolutely. Granted, you always have those one or two people that have something negative to say about where they're at. There's always something. But like watching the two main techs and how well they do and how well they were treated and um how available learning was for them to better themselves in Cadillac, GMC, Buick areas to become those master GM mechanics that you hear about.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. Like what Melody was talking about, right? It really gives you an opportunity to move on and not just stay as a regular generic mechanic or something like that. They allow you to specialize in certain areas.
Exactly. And this one they have, I don't know how it is at other dealerships, but they had like different forms of pay. So like your master techs, they were flat rate and they killed it all the time. You know, you could tell by the cars they drove, the toys they had, the vacations they took, you know, they were making bank.
Okay, yep.
And then you had the hybrid techs, they had an hourly pay with a booked hour bonus. And then you had just the hourly techs. So when I started there, I was just an hourly tech. Um, which I was fine with because it was, you know, it was all new again. It was a dealership. It wasn't the little independent shop I was used to. It was all new people. So I was like, yeah, I'll do hourly. I loved it. And I ended up, because I came from an independent shop, I ended up with all of the shitty old cars, all the cars that like weren't GM cars that were coming in to get fixed.
Oh, okay. Just non-generic, just generic, whatever, everyday Dodge Daytonas or something like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, whatever old rusted out POS was coming in, they were like, give it to Red. She'll do it, you know.
Okay.
And I loved it. It was great.
You know what? That's what I've always found about this industry, and especially working in the aftermarket like that. Man, you get to work on everything. Like,
Yes.
there's certain things you want to stay away from, like the German cars and the European cars, in my opinion. No one should ever have to work on those. But in general, like, where else are you going to, what other job are you going to have where you can have such a variety of
Right.
things to do? Like, and that, again, is one of the things I would be afraid of at a dealership. Like, our closest dealership was always a Ford dealer. And I always thought about these guys, okay, maybe you know how to fix a Ford, but you can't fix nothing else. That always scared me. So I'm like, maybe one of the reasons why I didn't work at a dealership, but
It
not
definitely
knowing how to
has.
fix, yeah, and not knowing how to fix, like, let's say a Dodge comes in and you're like, oh man, I don't know anything about this thing, but then having to know everything about everything, oh, that's exhausting too.
There were some guys like that at the dealership that would roll their eyes at anything not GM because they
Right.
were unfamiliar with it. It wasn't in what is it, Tech Line GM
Yep.
uses?
Yep.
Yeah. It's not readily, you know, they had to do some work to find the info on it, you know.
Yeah.
And so
No service information
yeah,
readily available, like, as they don't subscribe to aftermarket service information because their OE stuff is far superior.
right.
So they say.
They say.
But having yeah, having the aftermarket service information like we have now, it makes it so much easier to work on so many different makes and models. But
My
then,
favorite is the Identifix because it
yep,
is driven by other techs. You know, the repair processes that you find in that are verified repair processes by other mechanics. It's not an engineer writing it down for you to follow. You know, I
have
think
you
it's
ever called their hotline and talked to their techs that are on there?
on Identifix.
Yeah, it's a really
No.
it's really cool. If you ever run into something you just can't figure out, and you call them, and it's usually about, I've never had one take more than two phone calls with
Okay.
them. Usually it's one phone call and he's like, oh, such and such and such. And it's specialized. Like, if you have a Dodge problem, you get a Dodge specialist
Oh, neat.
on the phone. Yeah. And they're like, oh, yeah, okay, well, this is how this system works, blah, 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 blah. What have you all tested? Blah, 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 do this, and go and test this and give me the result. And usually when you go do that, you find your problem and fix it, and then the problem's solved.
Okay.
It's actually really cool. Like, the very first time I used that, I was working on a Chevy Astro van, and
Oh gosh.
however many years ago that was, right? And it would crank, no start, intermittently start, but run really rough. And I, you know, young tech, no one. And I've always been okay. Here's the other thing about me: the independent shops I worked at, I was always either the only one there or the the lead tech after I left where I did my apprenticeship. Okay, let's get that. So after I left where I did my apprenticeship, then I was basically by myself, and I was the lead tech, and everyone was underneath me. So I'm supposed to know everything. So I had no one to even bounce ideas off of or anything like that, unless I called somebody that I had worked with previously. Well, this thing I just couldn't figure it out. So I called him, and I'm like, I think the fuel pump is the problem, but I can't verify. So then he's like, well, you have voltage at the fuel pump. I said, I do. I have power and ground at the pump, but the pump's just not coming on all the time. Every once in a while it does. And then he's like, well, did you load test the wire? And I'm like, what do you mean by that? Well, like by putting a, and then that's when he told me get a headlight, the old seal beam headlights, and load test the wire, make sure that it lights up. And I think I had ended up getting a seal beam fog light from years ago, and I ended up making myself a load tester. And lo and behold, of course, it was a corroded wire. And um, when I finally found it and I fixed it and blah blah blah, and it was a great learning experience. That was my first experience talking to an Identifix professional like that, and I've done a few since then. And every single time, they get you right on the person that knows you. You type in all your information, whatever, and by the time that they talk to you, I think that they pretty much know what's wrong with it and already know the repair. Then they just point you in the right direction.
Okay.
So it's cool, and it costs like I think US is like $45 or something like that.
Okay.
So it's very affordable. One phone
Like
call.
per call?
No, so like it's per incident, right? So like if it takes 10 phone calls,
Oh,
it don't matter.
nice.
You only pay the fee once, and it's free for every call after that. Hence why I say it hardly ever takes more than one call.
Okay.
I've had to the one time I had to call back a second time, and it was because I had misunderstood the instruction to do. But
Gotcha.
if you ever need it, it's an amazing tool that they've built into it.
So I've dealt with the tech line uh, hotline, which isn't bad, and I've dealt with all data helpline, and I really like the all data. So we get the shop I'm at now is another independent shop,
Okay.
um, and we get a variety. Like right now, we have two Maseratis, but we also have like a '72 Cadillac. You know,
Okay. Yeah. Well,
we've
that is
got
quite a variety.
yeah, we've got all the European cars that you don't like. We've got Volkswagen, BMW, all of them. I think we have all of them in the lot right now, actually.
Really.
Um, yeah. So all data is great because you don't have to call anybody. You can just send your information in. So, like the older cars that don't have all of the schematics or all
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
the service information available, you just send it in like, this is what I'm working on. This is my problem. This is what I can't find. This is my email address. And within an hour, every time that I've had to use it, they'll email me like pictures of what I need of this. It's usually schematics,
Yep.
of whatever I need. And they're so nicely organized and they're colored and they're prompt, and their follow up is amazing. So I like all data for that. I don't know if do you guys have that?
I haven't used all data in a lot of years. I definitely used it many years ago, but it's probably 15 years ago, maybe more since I used it.
Oh wow,
I
okay.
I've used always used Identifix and ProDemand since then.
I like Pro Demand. I like their search engine and how it brings up all of the stuff related to that. So it's got like
Yep.
the operation of whatever it is you're looking up. I really like that.
I never used that. I always used Identifix for my wiring diagrams, but I've almost switched over to Prodyman for that because they have an interactive wiring diagram system. I mean, Identifix does a little bit too, but if you ever in it, if you click on the, I guess it goes into a print mode, but all of say like your connectors and your body control module, whatever, they turn blue, and you
Yep.
can click on that, and it'll come up with a sidebar, and you can actually see the location, the component connector, all that kind of stuff, and it's all hyperlinked, so it's really easy to use that way. So I use it a lot because of that. That's why I primarily use it. I certain things I don't like about it, but I mean it's with every program like that, right? And I'm sure even with TechLine, there's certain things that you just wish they would do differently,
Yeah.
and I think every program is like that. Hence the reason why I think they do it on purpose. Because I said they had somebody the other day. I'm sure there's one dude that owns all of them and is like, I'm not going to put this information over here, so they have to buy this one as well. So now we have to have two programs.
They're actually trying to make it more easily accessible for everyone. There is, oh, I wish my brain was better. Um, there's some, we have a poster of it in our shop right now, and it's like fighting for information rights for individuals
Yeah,
because all of the big guys are holding back their service information,
yeah,
you
yeah.
know, so to try
It's
and
been a
make it.
fight for. It's been a fight forever.
Yeah, there's a specific group of individuals that are fighting for it though, to get it.
I mean, it's called the Right to Repair Act, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
that.
So here in Canada, they have it's called AARO, AARO,
Okay.
Automotive Aftermarket Repair something, AARO, and apparently that's what their job is to fight for that. I don't know how good of a job they're doing because they've been in business for 15, 20 years, and I'm sure they've made some progress, but not all of it. Like the organizations seem to just need members, but not actually get those results. I think that that's what a lot of it happens. But I think that the right to repair industry will probably get worse before it gets better, especially with all of the hybrid vehicles. I think a lot of that is going to be very proprietary information.
Yes.
Well, like when the Teslas came out, right? There you couldn't touch, you could do nothing with a Tesla unless you had to take it back to a dealership. But then there's guys that learned how to hack the system and crack the computers open and all that kind of stuff. And all of a sudden, almost anybody can do it. As long as there's somebody in the aftermarket that wants to learn a way to do it, it will get done.
For sure.
Uh, I was talking with the guy that does one of the guys around here that does mobile programming, and talked about certain. I think it was a PCM for no a TCM for a Cummins something or other. Anyways, not available. Can't buy one anywhere. No nothing. But he knew of a guy who knew of a guy who could take and clone the computer and make it work from another computer or something like that. And
Oh
I'm
wow.
like stuff like that. I would never. But there's guys that will figure this stuff out. So there will always be somebody that will be able to figure something out when the manufacturer says nope, not available, and somebody's like, yeah, I'm going to be smarter than your engineers. So, uh, it's always going to happen. So the right to repair is going to get like it'll always only get so far, and then somebody is going to find a wiggle way around it, and then we'll still be able to repair the cars. Might
Well,
just be a little
see,
more difficult.
I wish it was easier though, because like Stellantis is a hard one. We just
Yep.
had a Jeep not too long ago. All it needed was, oh, what was it? A new key programmed. Couldn't do it. Couldn't do it because you couldn't get Stellantis to let you in to do the
Yep.
programming.
Yep. Yeah. It's been a problem, and that is getting even worse. Like these guys, I thought about buying a key programmer, cutter, whatever. Now you have to have a locksmith license to be able
Yep.
to cut and program keys.
Yep. You need a locksmith license. Everybody that works in the facility, I think, needs a background check.
Yep.
Yeah. Like it's a whole process to do it now if you want it in store or in shop.
Yeah. So those some of those things, like for a small shop like myself, 3 bay shop, I often look at stuff like that and how many am I going to do a year? If I do 10 keys a year, is it worth it for me to buy all the equipment, licensing, and all that stuff to do 10 keys a year? No,
Right.
not even close. Same with programming modules, right? I don't condemn that many modules. I maybe, I don't even know if I did 10 last year, right? So if I want to subscribe to all of these manufacturers to have the capability of possibly maybe doing a programming, but now I would, if I had that, I would have to make that a priority and sell that service in order just for it to pay for itself. And
Most
I'm
of
like,
them are pay as
"Well,
you go now.
yep, yep, that's been coming up like that. But then you still have to have the equipment, right?
No,
So,
laptops.
so okay. So just a laptop with a J2534 pass through connector, and you can do pretty much anything.
Yep. So we
What
have the
happens?
Snap-on.
What happens if you break a module?
If you brick it,
So
yep.
yeah,
You learned the hard
exact right.
way. Yes.
So my buddy works at Chrysler dealer, and he was saying the other day I was talking to him. He's like he's supposed to be programming a instrument cluster, and he's just scrolling through all the available programs and a bit for this thing, and as he went to scroll, he accidentally clicked it. How I don't know how easy it is, but he said he accidentally clicked it, and it went and programmed the wrong file
Oh
into
no.
the cluster. Oh, he said it bricked it. And he said it was a very expensive cluster, and now he
Yeah.
had to start over with a new one. And I'm thinking, do I want to take that liability? Nope.
So the only ways that I've ever seen a module get bricked is if you accidentally program it with the wrong file, um, or if it somehow shuts down. If you
Yep.
lose your battery power, your computer power, or something like that, halfway through programming.
It, right. And so all of those chances for to do 10 a year, I'm like, there's mobile guys that love to do it. A couple $100, they'll come out, program it. They take all the risk. I'm like,
Okay.
yeah, I'll just do it that way. Like once you get big enough, you have to do a lot of stuff in house, right? But if I can avoid doing that, I'm okay with that.
Valid.
I'm getting to be an old guy, as my back told me today. So I have to be careful what I want to venture into at this point in my life.
Yeah, no, we've been getting better with the programming at the shop that I'm at now. Um, like I said, Stellantis still gives us issues with Jeep and Chrysler and whatever, but like Hyundai we have down, no problem. GM, no problem. We rarely have to program Fords. And then we have a European guy that we send those to.
Yeah, I think I've heard European can be very tricky.
It's just getting the programming. Once again,
Okay.
it's getting access to the programming
Yep.
platform. Yeah.
So do you personally do programming as well, or just within your shop?
So yeah, I don't want to say I've taken over the programming part of it, but like I do a majority of it. I don't know if there's one other guy, he's really great, um way better than me. He's got all the programming stuff on his computer too, but I don't pay enough attention to what jobs he's doing to know what he's programming or not. Um but yeah, the two of us have all the programmings on our computers.
Oh, that's awesome. So you kind of got to specialize within your garage to keep. That's a good idea, right? Because that way it gives you a cutting edge over everyone else. Because if you're just a generic tech, well, they could turn around and say we don't need you anymore. But if you're like, nope, you need that car program tomorrow, and if I'm not here,
So here's the fun part about the shop that I'm at now is they are extremely picky on the individuals that they hire. Um,
as you should be.
as you should be, absolutely. But they have this process that I've never encountered before. So it's a husband and a wife, and they've had the shop for I think like 6 years, maybe seven now. Um, and they bring the person in, they do all the interviews and everything. And once they get a feel for somebody, like, okay, this might be the right person, they bring them through and they have them meet everybody in the shop. And so everybody in the shop gets like a one-on-one opportunity with this person to feel them out, ask them questions, have a little chat, you know. And so there's been times when the general consensus is just like, okay, that
This is
person's not vibing very well.
this is before they're hired.
Yep, before they're even hired. You know,
Oh, that's an interesting concept.
if they don't fit the vibe, if somebody doesn't feel like good about what they're offering or whatever, like they won't hire them. And so
Okay.
we ended up with this amazing group of individuals. Like all of us are we're I don't want to say none of us are hot tempered because we all have a temper.
Yeah.
But it's just such a chill environment. It's such a good place to go to and work. You know, it's not even work. It's just hanging out with people working on cars. You know, it's everything I wanted years ago when I started my journey through schooling and whatnot. It's every I'm in a corner, I'm with a car, I get to socialize with some people from time to time. But
It's what TV represents an auto shop should be.
yes, yes,
Okay,
we
cool.
don't have the drama. It's the first shop I've ever worked in where there's not some hard ass egotistical guy, you know. It's a really great place to be.
Now, okay, so you being a woman, are you the only woman, female in the shop?
Yeah.
Okay. So now this is probably a very stereotypical thing that a lot of people say is they're like if there's a woman in the shop, she will always have the attitude as I'm better than you because of how much harder it took for her to get to the point where she's at.
Do I have that attitude?
No, I'm not asking that. I'm saying I'm saying would the guys in the shop think of you as that?
Oh. Um I
Like
don't think so.
yeah, I've never I've okay, no, I have worked with a girl. I had a girl work for me for one summer and she had an amazing attitude. Like she was very timid and but could do the job amazing, right? And not hot headed and attitude, right? Where I've heard and seen of other shops where a woman goes in and they're just like, now we're gonna do it my way, and they butt heads a lot, right? So there's the guy I used to work at. He refused. He said, "I will never hire a woman like not everyone's like your wife, but so." And I've always wanted to. I've always wanted to hire. a female. Never had the opportunity, never had the opportunity for a technician, right?
Right.
I always think that yeah, maybe at the beginning there might be some physical limitations to the job, but the mental capacity I think is always far superior. So that would be my driving force if I ever had to hire, and if I could find a female tech. I As long as they didn't butt heads with the rest of the guys in the shop, I would hire a female tech all day long. Because, and especially if you look at some of the a lot of the podcasts that we've done, we interview a lot of female techs, and it's for that reason, because I think that they don't get the recognition that they deserve in the industry. And like for yourself too, like maybe in your shop, yeah, but maybe a shop down the road looks at it and says, oh, they've got a girl working over there, right? And I think that girls don't get that recognition that they can do this job just as good or maybe better than half the guys out there, because most of the time half the guys out there are so egotistical that they're like, oh, I can do this job with my hands tied behind my back, and yeah, good luck with that, buddy.
There
Right?
was actually one time, because there was a little Euro shop just down the street from the shop I was at. And so we'd get lunch there all the time. Great Euros. They were huge, good price. It was a little mom and pop place, you know. And I'd always go in there and I'd always have my uniform top on. So it said, you know, the shop name and my name. Um, and one day the lady, she she's so polite. She had her two daughters in there with her, and they were sitting at the table, obviously just trying to get through the shift, coloring and whatever. But she goes, "Hey, my daughter sees you come in here, and she wants to work on cars, but she doesn't think that she can do it because she's a girl."
Oh
She,
wow.
yeah, she's like, "Could you just go over there and just like tell her that you work on cars and you're a girl, you know?" And I was like, "Absolutely." And so while they were making my euro, I went over there and I chatted up with her about her coloring, and it was a really pretty little like car that she was coloring even. And I told her, you know, like I work on cars all the time. And so we had this nice little conversation and her eyes lit up, and it was just this amazing opportunity I had to be able to empower this little girl. Like whether or not she becomes a mechanic, I think she was might have been 5 or 6 at the time. You know, she might not even remember it when she gets older. But just to know that I had that opportunity to like present myself as a female in a male industry, you know, and making
Very
it.
much so. Yep.
Yes, it's an amazing feeling when it happens. It's always mixed reviews from individuals. You know, it's like either shock that there's a female in the shop, or like admiration that there's a female in the shop when it comes to like the customer aspect of it. But I've also had individuals where like, well, let me talk to a man. He's gonna know more. You know, and I'm more than happy to give you to a man if that man makes you feel comfortable. You know, but working in the shop, I've only butted heads with a couple guys. And like so I got one of my TikToks went viral one of the days that I got into it with one of the guys in the shop. And he was a bigger guy. He was like probably 6 foot or something like that. And I'm 5 foot. I'm 130 pounds, and I had this pickup truck that I was doing an alignment on. I can't move it by myself. So I get in the vehicle and I drive it forward and back to compensate, right?
Yep.
And he was giving me grief about it. And so I told him, I said, I'm physically incapable, like I know my boundaries. I'm physically incapable of pushing this vehicle in neutral back and forth to get it to compensate. And he was, well, maybe you should have picked a different trade.
Ooh.
And we got into it, and our service writer had to come out and cool us down, you know. Um, and I made a TikTok about it, and it got so many views. That's where I got a majority of my followers from. Even it's pinned at the top of my TikTok page if you haven't seen it already. But it used to have a soundbite to it, but they've taken it off since then. Um, but it was more like an affirmation, like So it used the B word. I don't know if you're able to swear on your podcast or not. But it was just like affirmations starting questionably and then growing progressively more assertive, you know, and it fit. And it was just, and some of the comments I got on it were amazing. And a lot of the people that I've met through that specific TikTok are great support for me for the automotive industry, you know.
Yeah, yeah, and it's amazing to be able to connect with people like that. Your story about somebody saying, "Oh, I want to talk to a man," right? Margarita worked in the shop with me for about 9 months, maybe a little more. She learned so much, and when people would come to the shop and be like, "Wow, you're working on cars too," and she's like, "Yeah." Oh, how do you know how to do that? And she's like, "Well, I'm learning. Frank's teaching me. I'm figuring it out." Oh, that's really cool. And Melody has that same story where she was literally her had a truck on the hoist, customer's truck on the hoist, and the customer peeked his head in the shop, saw that she was working on it, went to the service manager and said, "I don't want that girl working on my truck." And he's like, "Okay, that's fine. We can push it out. You can put a tow truck on it and take it elsewhere." "Well, no, I just want somebody else in the shop to work on it." And he's like, "Nope, she's the only one going to work on it." And I'm like,
Oh,
you know
yeah.
what? That's amazing for a service writer to stick up for a female tech and saying, no, that person is very capable of doing the job, and that person is going to do that job. And if you don't like it, we're happy to take it out, put it on the tow truck for you, and ship it somewhere else. But in this shop, that person's working on it. And I was
We
like, good for you. And she was like, it was a very highlight to her career to be like, yes, somebody is helping me to give me that affirmation. So to get that affirmation, whether you're male or female or anything like that, and you know you can do the job and someone is behind you saying you can do this and I believe in you, that just makes our job so much better. And that's something that I'm, as a owner now, trying so hard to be like, no, that person is capable of doing the job. I have trained them, they learn, they know, and we will figure this out. Right? A lot of people will come up and say, "Oh, I don't want the junior guy to work on this vehicle."
They have to
Why not?
learn. They have to
They,
learn.
they have to learn. I've trained them. They're going to do it exactly as I've trained them to do it, so they can do that job. So I don't have to do that every single. I can't do every single job. So I'm training people to do the jobs that I can't do, and then it'll still get done exactly the same way. So when people start to understand that, it's like, okay, you come to the shop, you're coming to 3D Auto, you're coming to the shop that Frank owns and operates, but Frank isn't going to work on every single car. It's impossible.
Right.
So you have to trust that the people that are going to be working on it, like yourself, like whoever is going to work on it, is going to do the job the same as if the owner was doing it or something like that. So, yeah, just having people in your back pocket like that in your corner makes a huge difference. So, I'm really excited that you have that now. I mean, it sounds like you've had that in your whole journey up, and especially now. So I think it's fantastic that you have those people in your corner, and that you've built yourself up into being the programmer in your shop, which is phenomenal. Because that's something that I don't understand. I've never gotten into programming and I don't understand it. So it's phenomenal. It's fantastic that you're doing that, and just your whole journey in general. So we're pushing over an hour here, Red. I thank you so much for coming on here and sharing your story with us. I think we should have to do another podcast for the rest of the story because I feel like we've just scratched the surface of it. But try to keep the podcast to an hour so people don't get too bored. And not that this was an amazing podcast. I think this was not boring at all. And
Yeah.
so, anyways, just hang on for a minute here while this closes up, and then
Okay.
again, appreciate you being here, and um, look forward to chatting with you some more.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Frank.